A horrific incident occurred in May, which the Trump regime was covering up, where they were testing new forms of electronic warfare using laser jammers. And apparently the Trump regime, through these military exercise, struck and killed 4 individuals aboard a medevac plane. And until Wired just broke the story, this was covered up. 4 people died. There were 2 pilots and there were 2 medical workers who were departing from Roswell, New Mexico. They were heading west for the small mountain village nearby, and the crew became victim of an electronic warfare exercise being conducted at the nearby White Sands missile range, a test which rendered their navigational system inoperable due to a combination of low visibility and an air traffic control that was stretched far beyond capacity. At least 3 other planes reported navigation disruptions due to GPS jamming. The pilots failed to register a mountainous formation between their plane and the landing strip. As airline pilot and aviation crash analyst Juan Brown told Wired, the visual effect of that approach would have been stupefying. When those lights go out, man, you know you are big trouble. The disoriented crew ran straight into the side of that mountain in New Mexico they never saw. It resulted in the life of everyone on board as a result of the military testing out this GPS jammer. And now this is shedding light on another incident that took place recently. Recall, as the Futurism article states, when the Federal Aviation Administration shut down air traffic to El Paso Airport earlier this year, it was because of an experimental high-energy laser weapon. That's why they were doing it. After days of chaos and speculation, it was revealed that Customs and Border Patrol officials working with the Pentagon and working with others were testing this laser, a laser volley, from a U.S. Army base adjacent to El Paso Airport. The trigger-happy Border Patrol grunts evidently thought they were firing at drug smuggling drones. Their real target turned out to be a kids' party balloon at that time. Regardless, it was later reported that the cutting-edge weapon was taken for a test drive a week before FAA and Pentagon officials had a chance to discuss how to safely implement the laser device, making it a small miracle that nobody in the air was killed, although there was that incident where the 4 people were then killed in New Mexico. Now, these are the types of things that would normally be subject to public, transparent investigations. And so much of these types of incidents are being covered up right now. And how do we know the full extent of what's taking place? And of course, we've been covering some of the high-profile incidents that we know about. The abuse of the FBI by Kash Patel, basically turning the FBI into his own, whatever you want to call it, BMWs and, Gulfstream jets, and the girlfriend following her around to these concerts that she does in the parking lots, and they pretend that she's like some celebrity. And of course, the cover-up of the Epstein files. We know that the DOJ was involved in a massive fabrication of evidence in the reflecting pool, the grand jury tampering that's taking place, all of this. But we do expect FBI, DOJ, inspector generals to investigate things like this, to let the public know what the hell is happening. And the idea that you had a medevac plane a few months back destroyed by laser jamming technology also makes you want to say, what else are they covering? In the past, this would be subject of multiple investigations, internal investigations, inspector general investigations, special counsel investigations, FBI and DOJ investigations. The conduct at issue by Border Patrol there could be criminal. It could be reckless. It could be a form of reckless. You're shooting lasers in the sky at airplanes. It wouldn't even be a question that there would be these types of investigations. And I want to highlight this story and bring in Harry Littman, one, because it's horrific, it's tragic, but Harry, it highlights to me that what we know and what is happening in plain view is the most corrupt, situation imaginable, and it's being normalized by corporate news, and we have to call it out. But the broader point is that all of these structures that used to exist to do these investigations are utterly broken, Harry. And I want to bring attention to that story. Hat tip to Wired, Futurism, for bringing attention to it all. But talk to us, Harry, about when you gut the DOJ, when you gut the FBI, when you gut these entities, these things get covered up.
You put your finger exactly on it, Ben. I mean, a horrific incident. That the death of 4 people in a medevac. Give me a break. The shooting down the big, oops, it's a child's balloon. But, you know, shit happens in government, and it certainly hasn't stopped now. If anything, it's proliferated with all the sort of new amateur hour that has populated the agencies where you used to have pros. But a just fundamental assumption of a democratic society is this ability to self-reflect, understand, and communicate openly about screw-ups like this. Think back in the past, and I was at DOJ, just offhand, I'm thinking of Waco right away. That was a whole series of investigations. There is a big part of government, maybe 5% of all of government, is designed to police government, to be able to know when government screws up, to be able to assess penalties, to be able to do things that even could rise to criminal conduct, as you say. And we take that for granted precisely because we don't see it, we don't know it, we assume it. That's part of living in a democratic society, as is, by the way, a robust press, which has by and large been trying to do its job. But look at what's been going on at the Department of Defense, all the things they're trying to do to keep reporters from having access, all the things they're trying to do to have access conditioned on good ideological right-wing MAGA views, all the things they're trying to do to subpoena reporters and the like. They're trying to smother a free press, and that's part and parcel of this as well. And so what it means, hats off to the reporting, but this is months ago, and there's no reason it should have been more than a week. Shit happens, so how do you correct? And, you know, if it's just sort of internal discussions of the big shots around a conference table, that's not going to do it. We have a right, an entitlement to understand what our government is doing, when it's screwing up, how it's screwing up, how it's making things better. And they have methodically disassembled the whole part of government that is there to do that job, in addition to which they cover things up and the like. But people who, and I was in the Department of Justice, and we've talked about this, when shit happens and the Inspector General is involved, you salute and do your job and give the interview, etc., because trying to account for, remedy, and prevent future mishaps like this, that's part of democracy. And we're left now in a position that was months ago. What other things have occurred? And somebody just made the reflexive decision, circle the wagons. The American people don't need to know about this. That will harm our standing with them. This is slightly far afield, but the reflecting pool, right? The immediate thing, and if they could have gotten away with it, they would have, was simply to advance a lie and cover up that government had screwed up and cover up that the no-bid contract made for lousy installation. You know, the scandal, when it does come out, only looks worse, only reflects more poorly on the people who are doing it. But the big point is just, it's a structural component of democracy. Self-reflection, criticism, investigation, getting better. And we know that that's been greatly eroded. You know, the whole person whose job it is to advise the Deputy Attorney General and the Attorney General on ethics, special role, Yeah, see you later. They've just been fired again and again. The advisors are now out of a job. But where it leaves us for what's going on, this is what it was like behind the Iron Curtain in the 60s, 70s. You don't know what your government's done wrong. And, that's just part and parcel of an overall authoritarian government that shows contempt for its citizens. And that's us.
That's what it feels like, Harry. I'm sure when you live in authoritarian regimes. I mean, this is one of those things. And I wanted to make sure you and I did a video on it because great reporting from Wired. And I know they have a decent audience. They have a big audience. Futurism has a nice size audience, but we have this platform. I want to give them a shout out for doing this great reporting, but it just seemed like maybe this will change, Harry, but when you and I did the reporting on Ecuador and how the prosecutor got killed, what the reporter reached out to me, who broke the story in Ecuador, and said, as a result of our coverage, now it's being she says it's being talked about everywhere, specifically because we brought attention to it. So to the extent we can do anything, I want to bring some attention to it using this platform, because it just seemed like it was one of those stories on Tuesday that just, it was a footnote in all.
Yeah, right. We would just forget about it because it seemed old. Yep. So power to you. That's the force of the Midas Mighty. And, you are singular in that regard. But the number one thing that I want to say is we just do not know. Are there 30 of these? I'm sure the government would say, oh, no, that was just an isolated event. We do not know how many. Down in South America, they are still, we're told, bombing people who are, off the coast with no justification. They're not making war on us, etc. We just do not know what our government is doing, how it's screwing up, and what needs to happen to both give sunshine as a disinfectant on it, but just, to avoid government doing bad in our name. That's part of democratic accountability, which has just disappeared with this crew.
Everybody, make sure you subscribe to the Talking Feds YouTube channel. That's Harry's channel. After this video, searched out Talking Feds. And then in any of the videos, tell Harry, WTF America, Harry. That's the name of the book that I'm releasing with my brothers in October. WTF America, Harry. Search Talking Feds and put that in the comments. Thanks, Harry.
Bring it on.
Breaking news right now, my brothers and I wrote a book. It's called WTF America. And well, doesn't that just say it all? It comes out officially this October, but you can pre-order your copy today. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description below.